Hey guys, the 6900 XT came out today, and my guess is you didn't get one because I have a feeling that supply issues are just as bad here or worse than what we've been seeing with all of our other graphics cards releases lately. And evidence of that, like I've talked about in previous videos, was like that major Swiss retailer only being shipped 35 of them when they're the largest retailer in their country. So again, yeah, I'm not expecting great supply, but I still want to talk about who is this card even for? Now, before I get into that, I realize that some people might be clicking on this video and it's the first video of mine that you've seen because my channel's pretty new. I've been doing this for about 2 months now. This is a hobby. I'm actually a math teacher. I do these mostly on my breaks and my limited free time, so I don't get sent review samples of cards. So if you clicked on this video looking for independent benchmarks, that's not what this is. This is my opinion about this card. Who should buy one? Who is it for? That kind of a thing. It is not a bunch of independent benchmarks by me. Now, where do I get my information then? Well, if you have a bunch of free time today, one option would be go to videocardz.com. I'll link this in my description as my subscribers are used to. I do link everything I talk about in my descriptions to all of my videos so you guys can take a further in-depth look yourself. Now, if you're bored today and sitting here crying because you can't find an in-stock GPU, Videocardz is one of the best places to find a roundup of all the reviews of a particular graphics card release. And I think they usually do this for CPU releases and stuff like that too. So if you want a whole bunch of reviews to read, take a look here. Now, I did not read all of these. I don't have that kind of time. And I'm gonna focus in on some YouTube reviews from most of my sources of information. And let's actually talk about that for a quick second. So in my opinion, you can get a pretty good idea of what to expect from a graphics card by checking at least 3 main reviews on YouTube. Now, I do look at some other stuff too and some print articles and all of that, but since this is a YouTube video, you're probably interested in YouTube, let's focus on some YouTube sources. So one thing I like to take a look at is Linus Tech Tips. And I'm not saying that they're the most in-depth review, but what I like about it is you can usually get a quick review. They're usually like 10 or 11 minutes. This one was under 11 minutes. And one thing I like is that they actually usually do a suite of benchmarks on productivity applications, and whereas a lot of other reviewers exclusively focus on gaming. Now, as far as exclusively focusing on gaming, most of you are already aware that the best bar graphs in the business come from Hardware Unboxed. They give you the most GPUs and the most games, at least that I've been able to find, from any major trustworthy review source, especially that I've been able to find here on YouTube. And then if you want to get into, well, also all of this stuff, the performance charts and everything, but get better details on things like frequency response, thermal performance, the cooler design, all of those types of things, overclocking, then there's no one better than Tech Jesus himself over at Gamers Nexus. So these are the 3 main sources I'm basing my opinions on, and they will be linked in the descriptions, and we will look at a few of the charts and information that they've provided as I give you my analysis on, once again, who is this card even for? Who should actually buy, if anybody, a 6900 XT? Who is this for? I mean, assuming you could find one in stock, right? So let's get into that. Well, so if we look at its performance in, well, you know what? Before we get into gaming performance, let's quickly talk about productivity, since I mentioned that. Now, this actually is not my area of expertise, but if you look at the Linus Tech Tips video, how does it perform against a 3090? In a lot of major productivity applications like Blender, it did worse. Now, it had, I think, a few wins in a few of the charts, and I'm not gonna go through all of those charts, and like I said, I'm not focused on productivity. But it does have some major losses and even some actual serious issues. Like apparently, they're claiming they have this pro render thing to speed up some of their rendering performance, but when LTT tested it, it looks like if you do the pro render versus OpenCL, which it would take longer to do, it produces a much worse image quality. So he said that might be useful for like a preview to get the preview done quickly, but not for final results. Anyway, there's all sorts of different professional applications. I'm not an expert on them, and what you would really need to do is look up specific reviews of a graphics card for your particular application that you're focused on for a professional use case and find out how it performs in that exact application. But in general, it's looking like, realistically, NVIDIA has the much larger market share. So a lot of these programs are going to be optimized with NVIDIA hardware in mind. I believe that's the reality in the situation for most of the programs. Again, there could be some exceptions. Now, let's jump more into gaming, like I said here. Like I said, Best comparison here that I can find is Hardware Unboxed. We get tons of GPUs compared here. But if we're thinking about who should buy a 6900 XT, we're really interested in the top end. I would say that you're interested in comparing the 3090 and the 6900 XT as the direct competitors, the best that each major manufacturer has to offer. But then you should also compare them with the 6800 XT and the 3080, because those are the other kind of normal flagship cards, right? So who should buy this thing? Should anyone buy it? So let's put it this way. We already know that these are bad value, right? If you get stepping up into 3900 and 6900 XT performance tier, you already know it's bad value. So I don't think that the people looking to buy these cards are that interested in value. The people looking to buy these cards are the people looking to buy the absolute best. And if you're looking to buy the absolute best, well, you might also be running a 4K monitor. And if you're running a 4K monitor, then in this 18 game average, and why is it a big deal to have this 18 game average? Because some of you guys are gonna be like, I looked at other benchmarks and they had different results. Okay guys, lots of games heavily favor either AMD or NVIDIA. Like heavily. Look at something like Dirt 5 and it's hugely AMD favored. Look at something like more like Watch Dogs and it's gonna be more NVIDIA favored. And there's a lot of examples in both directions. So if you do a review of like 5 games and 3 of them are heavily NVIDIA favored, or maybe 3 of them are heavily NVIDIA favored, that's gonna have a big sway on your average. Trust me, I'm a math teacher, although you shouldn't need to be a math teacher to understand that, okay? And I think most of you guys do, right? So if you do 18 game average, of course this could still be swayed if like, you know, some higher than half percentage of them favored one team or the other. But in general, the more games you throw in there, the less the outliers affect the final result. That's one reason why I love these results here, especially, and also because they throw in so many other cards compared with it. And they're just nice looking graphs, guys. Good job, Hardware Unboxed. But anyway, at 4K, where if you're at one of these top of the line gamers, you might be more likely to be, since we know not many gamers are at 4K, but the people who are more likely to be the people spending lots of money on this stuff, the 3090 has a performance advantage in normal rasterized performance. Now it's not huge, but it has it, right? Now if you step down to 1440p, where even a lot of people at the high end are still doing because they want higher refresh rates, then the 6900 XT does beat the 3090 on average, but again, it's very close. Now, I don't know why you'd be buying a 6900 or a 3090 for 1080p, but if you're interested, the 6900 and the 6800 beat the 3090 on average here, again, in these particular 18 game averages at high quality. And this is what we've seen before, again, looking at the 6800, is that the NVIDIA cards seem to flex their muscles better at higher resolutions relative to the AMD cards, or the other way of looking at that is the AMD cards flex their muscles better at lower resolutions. The point is, as you step the resolutions up, the NVIDIA cards have more of an advantage, okay? Now, that being said, it's all incredibly close if we're comparing these 4 cards, right? It's all incredibly close. So if you're somebody, again, who isn't interested in value and you're just wanting to get the best thing available and you're gaming at a high resolution, the 3090 could be your best bet at 1440p, maybe the 6900 XT, but then here comes the big issue. AMD does not have a DLSS competitor right now, and DLSS gives you massively more performance at a minimal image quality loss when we're talking about the newer implementations of 2.0. And hopefully AMD has a fantastic competitor to that coming out, but right now they don't. Also, AMD's ray tracing performance right now is significantly lower than NVIDIA's, and I'm very hopeful that games will become optimized for that, or newer games that have the new consoles in mind will optimize better for AMD hardware and ray tracing. But again, I don't expect it to actually AMD take the lead from that, because I think NVIDIA does just have better ray tracing hardware. It's their 2nd generation of it. So, you know, if you can win a little bit at 1440p and lose a little bit at 4K, but then you're missing big features like better ray tracing performance and DLSS, which is sometimes necessary to make ray tracing at ultra settings even playable, then like if you're like not interested in value, the 3090 is just the better card. So if you're looking at spend whatever it takes to get the best, I think the 3090 is just flat out a better graphics card than the 6900 XT. has more VRAM, it has DLSS, it has better ray tracing performance, and at 4K rasterized, it performs better. Now it costs $500 more, so you might be like, the 6900 XT destroys the 3090 because of value. Well guys, if you're interested at all in value, you should get the 6800 XT. Unless you care about ray tracing a lot, in which case you should get a 3080. So that's where I'm saying, who is this card for? It beats the 3090 in terms of value, as long as you're not that into ray tracing right now. But if you're interested in value, you shouldn't be buying a 6900. It's that simple. So who is this card for? Like I said, I don't think it's great for the professional space, unless maybe you have a particular app that it's great for. If you want to buy the very best, you buy a 3090, and if you're more interested in value at the top end, you should be getting a 6800 or a 3080, 6800 XT or a 3080. So again, who is this card for? I think I have some answers to that question, because number one, despite all this I'm saying, I almost tried to get one this morning. Now, I don't think I would have had any chance, but I almost did. And you know why I almost tried? Because if you can actually get one at MSRP for $999 in the current market, given what these other cards are selling for, even the AIB cards at their list price, let alone if you're paying scalper prices, then I think who should buy a 6900 XT? Well, if you need a high-end graphics card right now, and you can actually find one in stock before the other ones come in stock, maybe buy that. So I could say buy any of these top 4 cards if you can afford it and you need a top-end card right now and one actually comes available. So the 6900 XT might make sense if it just happens to come in stock for you before one of the other things. But the only other reason I can think of to buy a 6900 XT is if you just want to support AMD, and you have issues with NVIDIA. I know there are people who just dislike NVIDIA and they prefer AMD and they want to support AMD. They want to put together an AMD platform for all of their stuff. And if that's you and you want to buy the best AMD part out there, I don't think you need to feel bad about this or like you made a bad choice. Grab that card if it's gonna make you happy. This is a hobby, and people always be like, you're wasting so much money on this. Guys, there's hobbies out there that cost a lot more than PC gaming. I know it feels like this is incredibly expensive for a $1,000 graphics card or a $1,500 graphics card. But I mean, honestly, like there's people who like collect cars and things like that. Oh, sorry, you heard that notification. I should have my speakers off while I'm recording, sorry. Anyway, yeah, there's people who spend a lot more on their hobbies. So I would say don't feel bad if you want to grab this top-end card because you like AMD and you want it, okay? So who should buy it? Somebody who wants it. Not somebody who's looking for great value because, yeah, drop down to one of these two, okay? And not somebody who's looking for the best because realistically, guys, the 3090 is a better card. It has more VRAM, it has DLSS, it has RT, it has the other little NVIDIA bonuses and things like that. If you just like AMD better and you want their best card, grab yourself a 6900 if you can ever find one in stock. Wait, I thought of one more thing. I'm literally editing this right now. My editing program is open. So hopefully this even records okay. What if the 3090 doesn't fit in your case? That thing is huge. Yeah, anyway, maybe there's one. All right, guys, I got some work I need to get done. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section, and I hope you have an excellent day.